going to cover all of that. But I want to kick off with the Manchester United versus Newcastle game, because prior to this game, there were reports that regardless of what happened, Jose Mourinho was going to get the sack. Now this is quite a bit of a shock slash surprise, because even though they haven't been performing well, it's not like they're actually very far from the top of the table. And having said that, Mourinho actually signed a new contract at the start of the season. I think it was another 4 years on his contract, or 3 years. So that meant that if Manchester United was to sack him, it was going to cost them a lot of money. So this was very, very surprising to hear. But I guess the results were not in the favor of the Manchester United board, who let out feelers, or let out these feelers or these rumors, probably just to see what was the reaction from the crowd in general. And boy, oh boy, did they perform. Okay, so let's break it down. Newcastle had gone into the game not having won any of their games at all this season. So they were winless. They had a couple of points from draws, and they've not beaten Manchester United in like ages. So then they went into the game in the 7th minute, right? This is against the United crowd, home crowd. In the 7th minute, they scored. Kennedy scored a brilliant goal with his left foot off a throw-in. And 3 minutes later, a Japanese guy called Yuto, who I did not know even existed prior to this game, scored a second goal, again off another throw-in. So this is like poor defensive play from Manchester United. But that kind of triggered Manchester United to click. So towards the end of the first half, so you have to remember, at the 10th minute of the game, Newcastle were 2-0 up. And for a smaller team, I've always felt that if you were leading 2-0 too early in the game, I always feel like it gives the chance for the bigger teams, and in this case Manchester United, to come back with the remainder of the 80 minutes or whatever that's left. It's not the same as if you were leading, say, 1-0 at halftime and then score the second goal maybe 70 minutes into the game. That's a bit harder to come back from, but because Newcastle were 2-0 up so early, they went into retreat mode. So they started defending like for their lives. And for a large chunk of the game, so even though Manchester United got back into the game at the end of the first half, it looked like it wasn't going to be their day. They were missing chances. Rashford missed a really, really good chance in the first half. And it looked like Newcastle was going to be able to hold out. Fast forward to the second half, and in the 70th minute, they got a free kick just at the edge of the penalty. Now this is after substitution. So Manchester United, as in a Mourinho way, started out quite defensively, and it was surprising that their defense was the one thing that let them down. And so, you know, they didn't need to defend anymore. They were already 2-0 down. Mourinho made very, very good changes. I have to say, despite all his flaws, Mourinho is one of those managers that can make impactful substitutions, and he did so again this time. He brought on Mata, and he brought on Marshall? No, Sanchez. Yes, Sanchez. So okay, he brought these two guys on, and the first goal from the comeback actually came in the 70th minute from Juan Mata. Mata, as a player, I love Mata. I don't know why Mourinho doesn't want to start with him. Every time they get into a sticky situation, it is always Juan Mata that's the guy who comes and saves them. Maybe he scores, maybe he makes an assist, but he does something that makes United tick. I will say one thing, he probably doesn't play as much because he doesn't do the defensive work, or he doesn't have the legs to do defensive work the way Mourinho wants his midfielders to do. That's not to say that his existing midfielders are doing a great job, because otherwise, hey, why are we having this big debate about whether Mourinho was going to get sacked? But anyway, moving on to the game. So Mata had that free kick. He scored a very, very nice goal. I suggest if you haven't watched this, you should really go and take a look. I'm a big fan of free kick goals, and Juan Mata takes some of the best. And it was just it clicked them into gear. It gave Manchester United a reason to believe that they can actually do it. So this is wonderful. It was wonderful to watch. The game as a whole was very exciting actually. So it was just great advertisement for football. Okay, now moving on to that second goal, which really put Newcastle back, because at this time, even though Newcastle were leading 2-1 with 20 minutes to go, they had refused to attack, so they still stayed in their defensive mode. And I mean, your legs are tired. You've been defending since the 10 minutes, and it was one of those things that the the fans were, they kind of knew that United were going to score again. It was so obvious, and even the Newcastle fans, they were kind of petty, so they were really petty in their seats, and you could tell their face was concerned, and their concern, the concern was for good reason, because Marshall scored his second goal off a wonderful assist from Paul Pogba. I think in this game, Paul Pogba played very, very well. I know they went 2-0 down, but I think he played very well when he was needed to. He kind of led the team like a captain. I know there's been this whole issue of should Pogba be the second captain or not, because personally I think second captains don't matter. It's like your second penalty taker, you know. It's a subject that we will get onto when we talk about Manchester City. Second penalty taker. Anyway, so you've got Pogba playing well. He gives a nice back pass to Marshall, who scores another great goal. I mean, this was it was so good to watch. It was really, really good to watch. And then and the third goal. The third goal was scored by the man I thought could never ever score for Manchester United ever again, because he was I'm talking about Alexis Sanchez, by the way. He was so bad that in the last few games, Sanchez was not even on the bench. He didn't even make the bench. So this was quite surprising for him to not only be on the bench, but then to actually come on to try and rescue the game. So I mean, if it was the old if it was the old Arsenal Alexis Sanchez, yeah, I'd have him. But this is the Manchester United Alexis Sanchez. So here's a guy who's off form, doesn't have the confidence of the manager anymore, and but he repaid his faith, and he scored a headed goal, which I'm quite surprised because he's not exactly a tall guy, and yeah, the place was rocking. And even though I'm not a Manchester United fan, it's really nice to watch one of these games. Obviously, towards the end of the season, I'll probably have different feelings about it, but the game on its own, as a spectacle, great to watch. Really wonderful.